We are live.
All right. Good evening, everyone. This is a call to order for the Bridgeport Board of Education regular board meeting. Today's date is Monday, September 9th, 2024. The time now is 6:31 p.m. This is a virtual meeting that's on Microsoft Teams and available publicly on YouTube. The next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. And so let's start that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item on the agenda is roll call. Madam Secretary, if you could take roll.
Tahiba Bain. Christine Baptiste Perez.
Present.
Albert Benahan Grajales.
Present.
Akeisha Casimir. Willie Medina.
Present.
Joseph Sokolovic.
Present.
Robert Traber.
Here.
Andre Woodson.
Present.
Jennifer Perez is present. Tahiba Bain. And Akeisha Casimir.
Okay. There is a quorum of the board. The next item on the agenda is student representative reports. We still don't have any student representatives yet, so we're going to move down to the next item, which is public comment. For public comment today, we have 17 speakers signed up. I wanted to know if there was a motion interested in suspending our bylaws 9162 subsection 1 that allots for 15 speakers, so we can allow all 17 speakers to speak.
So moved.
So moved.
So moved.
It's been moved by Ms. Perez. Is there a second?
Second, Sokolovic.
Second.
Was there a
Second.
second by Mr. Sokolovic. Ms. Perez, just before we get started with public, it's been moved, it's been seconded, we have to vote on it. But just so the record acknowledges, Ms. Casimir is on. I just heard her.
Yes, I am. I'm sorry. I had my speaker muted. I apologize. I'm here.
Gotcha.
Okay. So the motion is to suspend meeting conduct 9160, that's 2 subsection 1, to change the number of speakers from 15 to allow all 17 that signed up to speak today. It's been moved by Ms. Perez, seconded by Mr. Sokolovic. Is there any debate on this item? Hearing none, all in favor of amending the numbers of, the motion is to change the number of speakers from 15 to 17, say aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously. We'll allow all 17 speakers to speak. All right, let me get my list up. The first person we have up to, before I do that, let me just send a reminder to the public that Bridgeport Board of Education meetings are meetings in public, not with the public. Just before we get started with public comment, I just want the public to know that as they air whatever they would like to share with the board, the expectation at this stage is not to expect a conversation. We'll take your information in, whether that results in some kind of committee action or board action, that will be determined at a later date. Let me just read through our policies too. The board may permit any individual or group to address the board concerning any subject that lies within its jurisdiction during a portion of the board's regular meeting so designed as such purpose. There's 2 minutes that may be allotted to each speaker. We've just voted to allow 17 speakers tonight only to speak for a maximum speaking period. That changes the speaking period to 34 minutes. The board may modify these limitations at the beginning of the meeting, which we did. I mean, we've already made the change to 1. The second item, I'm reading from our bylaws, just so the public is aware. A Board of Education member or official shall be appointed by the chairperson prior to the meeting to act as timekeeper for the meeting if deemed necessary by the chairperson. Third, for anyone that signed up, please, I'm adding please, but it says no boisterous conduct shall be permitted at any Board of Education meeting. Persistence in boisterous or inappropriate conduct shall be grounds for summary termination by the chairperson, that's me, of the person's privilege of address. All speakers must identify themselves by name and address, and emphasis on all. The fifth point is only Bridgeport resident individuals or organizations, district employees, district students, parents, guardians of district students shall be permitted to address the board through public address. Such individuals wishing to address the board shall register to do so, and everybody's already signed up. So I'm just going to skip over that. And again, to members of the public, this is available on our website in our bylaws. And if you were to go, it's meeting conduct 9160. So now I'm going to get started. The first speaker that I have is Jessica Resto.
Unknown participant is now joining.
Hello?
Ms. Resto?
Yes?
Hi, good evening. This is Christine Baptiste Perez. You've signed up for public comment, correct?
Yes.
I know it's a little bit redundant, but for the sake it's in our bylaws, just identify yourself, your name and address, and then your time will start.
My name is Jess Resto. I've stated a couple times now already my name and address on YouTube. I don't feel comfortable continuing to do so.
Ms. Resto, please, it's our policy. I understand how you feel, but if you can just say so we can allow you to speak.
I live on Jennings Avenue. I have 2 kids at Park City Magnet, and I'm a member of the Park City Magnet PAC. I'm here before you today to express my deep concerns regarding the recent changes implemented by this board. These changes have proven ineffective and eroded the public's trust. The new policies forced by the chair have granted the superintendent unchecked power to make dramatic changes without any form of accountability. This has led to suppression of public speech and the elimination of parental input, creating chaos at board meetings. Board members are often left in the dark, unaware of decisions being made. These changes have fostered an atmosphere where the public is wrongfully removed from meetings, and my attempts to voice my opinion have been met with resistance and obstacles. It is disheartening to see that the time, place, and process of these meetings seem designed to avoid facing the very people you are meant to serve. I urge you to reconsider these policies and restore transparency, accountability, and public trust. It is essential that we work together to create an environment where every voice is heard and valued. In closing, I leave a few questions. Was the time change made aware to all board members? Were these decisions made with the best interests of our community in mind? Is the Board of Ed really working in the public's best interest? Are the correct policies and procedures and the bylaws on the Board of Ed website? How long will the board chair be allowed to shout over, bully, or mute people? And how do we, as the public, get our rights back? Thank you.
Unknown participant is now exiting.
The next speaker is Ms. Robinson.
Unknown participant is now joining.
Hello, hi, is this Ms. Robinson? Hello?
Who is it, me?
Is it Kim McLaughlin?
Ms. McLaughlin, hold on one sec. We have another speaker before you. You may have been
I'm not who
dialed.
you're, I don't know if I'm the person that you're calling. My name is Kim McLaughlin.
Wait, Ms. McLaughlin, one second.
Yeah.
I want to go in
Thank you.
order of the speakers, and I think you were accidentally called, but just stay by your phone because when it's your turn, you should be dialed in. Okay?
Okay.
I just don't want to skip and then let me see how far off the line I've gone. Yeah, you right now it was the accident, so we skipped 2 speakers in order, so we'll give you a call right back, okay?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Turn it off.
One second, I just want to make sure we're able to get in
Unknown
contact.
participant is now exiting.
Interesting. All right. I'm just for transparency, our speaker that signed up next has the same exact phone number on our spreadsheet as Ms. McLaughlin. I have no clue why. We can call Ms. McLaughlin back to see if Sheila Robinson is with her to utilize her time. But if not, then I want to just proceed in order of the list and apologize for that.
Unknown participant is now joining.
Hello, Ms. McLaughlin or Ms. Robinson?
Point of information, Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Traber.
My understanding is because there was so much problem reaching people at the last meeting that they've used one phone number here at the common meeting point to make sure that everybody gets on who signed up. And Miss Robinson is at the hospital with her daughter and is on her way here, so she will be here. But the speakers are in order and they're using one phone and one phone number in the common room across the hall from me to have the speakers speak because there was some problem with downtown calling people on their cell phones. And some people didn't get called last week, 2 weeks ago. So that's why you're having some confusion there. So Shayla's on her way and
All
the
right.
speakers are waiting in line with the same phone number.
Thank you, Mr. Traber. We're going in order of the speakers. If Ms. Robinson's not available, then we're just going to have to move on because she's second on the list.
Or you could
You're
skip her
actually
back to her later.
the next speaker. Just state your
Unknown
name.
participant is now exiting.
Just state your name and address for the record.
Who's the next speaker?
You are Mr. Traber.
Okay, my name is Rob Traber. I live on Hale Terrace in Bridgeport. I want to state for the record that you are misquoting the bylaws. Mr. Anastasi's here, I see. The chair is using outdated records that were changed last spring. She voted on the new records. The new records don't require an address to be stated. The chair has herself expressed concerns about stating her address on line and in public. Other speakers have expressed this to her. She seems to not care about them. My wife was assaulted last winter. I don't know why you're requiring people to state their address online. My wife has a case pending before the courts on being assaulted. So I think it's highly out of line. We've been stalked in other things over the years, but somehow the standard is double here. And that's what I wanted to speak on tonight, double standards. Last fall, when the superintendent posted a video attacking Bobby Brown, Joe Sokolovic, Albert Benayangrahatis, and myself for putting on the agenda a motion to remove a video the superintendent had made with Board of Ed money, saying how we were the problem that she was having running the Board of Ed in the Bridgeport Public Schools. We wanted her to remove it after she had sent it to every Board of Ed employee and every parent in the school system. We thought it was time to take it down. We weren't seeking to discipline her or anything else. The chair, who was then the vice chair, put out a call on Facebook for the public to turn out and defend the superintendent. And a large number of people turned out to excoriate us publicly at a Board of Ed meeting. And we, along with the chair, Baptiste Perez, voted to extend the public speaking time to allow everybody to get their chance to tell us how they felt about us. They did in no uncertain terms. And I believe the superintendent and the vice chair.
Thank you, Mr. Traber. This is your
My
2 minutes.
2 minutes is not up, Madam Chair.
Yes, it is, Mr. Traber.
No,
Thank you so much for your opinion
They sat gleefully
and your
watching
recollection
us
of what
get
you believe is the
excoriated.
facts.
I didn't.
We'll go on to the next speaker. The next speaker is Ms. McLaughlin.
Unknown participant is now joining.
Good evening. Ms. McLaughlin, please state your name and address for the record.
She's on mute.
Kim McLaughlin, 110 Hale Terrace, Bridgeport, Connecticut, 06610.
Yes, your time start, Ms. McLaughlin.
Pardon me?
Your time is on. Please speak.
I'm speaking for Connecticut CT Coming Together for Education, and we're circulating a petition. We've been doing it for several months, door to door, at church meetings, at other meetings, and I want you to know about it. It's to you, Christine Baptiste Perez, and to the superintendent, Leva David. And it has 12 things that we're talking to people about. We're getting a tremendous response. We have hundreds and hundreds of signatures. We're not giving them to you because people don't trust what you, the two of you, will do with their names and addresses and phone numbers. They don't feel safe. But 4 things that we're talking to people about is, it says that community members are signing because they are deeply concerned, unequivocally request that you, the two of you, guarantee that regular BOE meetings and special meetings are held in person at all times, unless very serious emergency circumstances cause meetings to be held online. Number 2, you must guarantee that all BOE meetings are conducted in community-friendly facilities in a community-friendly manner with audio and visual that is satisfactory to BOE members and members of the public attending the meeting. Number 3, that you advertise the date and the time and the location of the meetings at all Bridgeport Public Schools as far in advance as possible to allow students and parents and teachers and school members to know in advance where the meetings are so they can attend. And number 4, that you will coordinate with Bridgeport Public School audio technicians to make certain that
Mr.
BOE
McLaughlin?
members' microphones and video that you can't
Your
turn
2
it off.
minutes is up. Thank you so much.
That was not 2
Unknown
minutes, Madam Chair. I
participant is
timed you
now
to that time.
exiting.
The next speaker is Aaron Newcomb.
Unknown participant is now joining.
Good evening. Is this Mr. Newcomb?
Yes.
Good evening. Just, I know this sounds redundant, but just please state your name and address for the record, and then your time starts.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Aaron Newcomb, and I reside at 3300 Park Avenue, Bridgeport. And I am speaking tonight as a resident and taxpayer of this city, concerned that regular Board of Education meetings are now being held solely online. These online meetings are rife with technical glitches and delays, and sometimes members' mics and cameras just stop working. All of this leads to meetings that are hard to follow, and these meetings are more important than any other for the public to be able to follow. So much so that the mayor himself insisted on Friday that the meetings be held in person. I know last meeting, Madam Chair, you explained that you are not holding in-person meetings out of fears of harassment, stating that you didn't feel safe being in the same room with some of the members of this board, but that confused me because in a June 14th interview on the radio show, Melissa in the Morning, you were asked by the host, why have virtual only meetings since COVID is over? And at the time, you did not even mention harassment or fear of being in the same room as some other board members. You instead blamed board members' busy schedules, referencing the really big trial you were in the middle of, and that another member once joined the meeting from the hospital. You even went so far as to say you preferred in-person meetings. Clearly, you no longer prefer in-person meetings, and the rhetorical question I have for you is, what changed? In June, you preferred in-person meetings. There's not been an in-person meeting between then and now, so when did you change your mind? Was there something that happened between then and now that changed your mind? These online-only meetings are serving to further entrench the distrust that has malignantly spread over the past year between the public, the students, the families, the taxpayers of this district, and those who are leading it. At the very least, Madam Chair, the public deserves to know the specifics of why you changed your mind and why they are now left with this clearly inferior mode of meeting. Thank you very much.
The next
Unknown
speaker
participant
is
is now exiting.
Ms. Van Nordum.
Unknown participant is now joining.
Good evening. Is this Miss Van Nordum? Norden?
Good morning, or no, not morning, afternoon.
For the record, just state your name and address, and then your time will start.
My name's Angie Van Norden, and I live on East Main Street, Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Okay.
Dear Superintendent and Board, I want to start off by saying that I was born and raised in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and I'm a product of Bridgeport Public Schools. After getting married and having children, my husband and I decided to move back to the district. In my 24 years of being a parent, I have never been more disappointed in our super and our board. There have been so many changes that have been made that you have tried to make that have affected our kids adversely, without any knowledge or opinion or info from the public. Had you asked anyone in this district when you changed for your new proposed dismissal time, we would have told you it would have been a disaster. Instead, you changed them, making everybody's life difficult, and then you went ahead and changed them back without ever asking anybody. Even when you put the email out, you vaguely told us the times. Had you asked, you would have known that our times were staggered. The changes that you tried to implement in our schools are also harmful to our kids and our teachers. Our kids aren't robots and should not be taught just to take tests. Where is the space for emotional and social development? That is where some of our teachers shine.
We should respect our educators and trust them and not try to dictate every thought and lesson plan. As I stated before, I was a student of this district. I was one of the kids that needed the extra help. I promise you that I need more than 10 minutes to get and eat breakfast. Otherwise, I might not have had anything to eat that day. There are plenty of kids still in this situation in this district today. You made a schedule and you left no room for any kindness or empathy. You're still sitting up there name calling, a lot of you on the board. I'm so disappointed in you, making decisions with what it seems like no forethought, acting like children, locking us out of meetings, and you should have no problem facing the public that you serve. And if you do, you should step down.
Okay. The next speaker is Ms. Cheatham.
Unknown participant is now exiting. Unknown participant is now joining.
Ms. Cheatham,
Yes.
just state your name and address for the record, and then your time will start.
My name is Samantha Cheatham, not very close with stating my address. My child goes to Rivercross School. Should give off where my address is and where it's
You don't have
surrounded.
to speak
Not
with
comfortable with it,
address number.
Christine, at all. Say that again?
You don't have to give the number. Just you can give the street and Bridgeport and zip code if you feel more comfortable that way.
I did. I gave the school. You should not be asking for our addresses when we are parents of these students. You don't know what we have going on in our public life for us.
It's very simple. For everyone participating, you must state your name and address. I've heard other members as well as our first speaker just give the street number if there's a concern, just to verify that they're Bridgeport residents. This is not for a conversation. Our meetings are in public, not with the public. So we're going to just move on to the next speaker. The next
Unknown
speaker
participant
is Callie
is now
Heilman.
exiting. Unknown participant is now joining.
Ms. Heilman,
Hi, yes.
just state your name and address for the record, and you don't have to say the specific street number, but just to verify you're a Bridgeport resident or state your relation to the district.
Okay, before I do that, I just want to comment that I think everyone's phone numbers are being displayed on the public meeting. So everyone's personal cell phone numbers are currently being publicly aired during this meeting.
Ms. Holland, can you state your name and address for the record?
Okay, I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that because it seems like a really egregious oversight.
Privacy.
All right. If you're not going to participate in public comment, we'll move on with the next speaker.
No, I'm ready. Okay, my name is Callie Heilman. I reside on Grover's Avenue. I'm a parent at Black Rock School. I have 3 children in the public schools. And I am here to ask you all to work together to return the Bridgeport Board of Education meetings to in-person at a location that is convenient for Bridgeport families. The Bridgeport Board of Ed has a duty to serve the rights and interests of the public, whose rights and interests outweigh board members' own personal feelings. From the parent perspective, keeping board meetings virtual is in direct violation of the public's right to participate and observe your collective governance of our school district. The pandemic is over. There is no justifiable reason for continuing virtual meetings. Also, the fallout from this year of chaotic leadership from the chair and from the superintendent is contributing to growing parent, teacher, student dissatisfaction. Worse, it's keeping us all from what we need to be focused on, which is our looming budget crisis. With the federal COVID money gone, we are left with a huge hole that's been created by a decade of underfunding by both the city and the state. The board, the superintendent, city council, our state delegation, the mayor, and us, the community, need to be laser focused on a plan to get Bridgeport the $40 to $50 million that we'll need in state and city dollars so that we can stay at current operating levels in fiscal year 26. There's $4.1 billion in state surplus trapped in a rainy day fund that we have to collectively advocate for, and the city needs to give the schools a meaningful increase too. But that advocacy will only be as effective as our own self-governance. Our students, teachers, and families don't deserve this level of dysfunction. We need stable, accountable, and transparent leadership from leaders who are kind, respectful, and courteous. And we need to be fully funded so that we can meet our students' and teachers' needs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Unknown participant is now exiting.
The next speaker is Ms. Brown. Also, just received confirmation. No
Unknown
number appearing on
participant
the
is now
YouTube
joining.
screen. So that information that was presented is false. Ms. Brown?
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, I'm sorry, you were cut off because of the system. What was that statement you made?
No numbers are appearing in the YouTube stream. So, Ms. Brown. Wait for Ms. Brown. Just to clarify that that was a lie that was presented in comment as we wait for Ms. Brown.
Just to clarify, Madam Chair, you're saying that if it appears on our screen, it's not appearing on the YouTube screen? Madam Chair, point of information. Are you stating that if it appears on our screen, it does not appear on the YouTube screen?
Unknown
Did someone say
participant is
something? There
now
was a delay on
exiting.
my end.
I asked you, Madam Chair, if it appears on our screen, it does
No,
not appear.
from what I'm being told, it's not on YouTube. So someone shouldn't be looking at board member screens while we're in a meeting. We shouldn't be
They're
sharing
not
that
looking at a
content.
board member screen. They're looking at the screen.
They're at home.
All
In
right,
their room, Madam Chair.
we're going to move on to Ms. Brown. Ms. Brown?
So that's not a lie, Madam Chair. You might watch your words.
You should do the same as well. Ms. Brown? Okay, I'm gonna just follow up to see if, make sure we're calling Ms. Brown. Okay. Okay, the next speaker is sorry. I'm just gonna say the full name, Romeo McKenzie. We had called Miss Brown. Miss Brown didn't, never spoke, so we're gonna move on to the next speaker, which is Mr. McKenzie.
Unknown participant is now joining.
Good evening, Mr. McKenzie.
Who's this?
You signed up for public comment with the Bridgeport Board of Education.
Okay.
Right. If you can just state your name and your address, you don't have to give the street number, and your time will begin.
Wait, what is this regarding?
You signed up to speak at the Bridgeport Board of Education public comment.
Oh, yeah. Is there any way you can call me back like an hour? I'm actually about to go into the store.
This is your time to speak. This is our only allocated portion. If you want to speak now, you can speak now, or you can also sign up at our next public comment or reach out to all board members via email.
Okay. All right, I'll just do that because I'm getting ready to go into a store and I'm already in a noisy area.
Okay, no problem. Thank you for your time.
All right.
Unknown participant is now exiting.
The next speaker is...
Point of information, Madam Chair. I was just sent a picture by somebody offline, and if phone numbers are apparent to anybody watching on YouTube.
Okay.
So that
well, I'm receiving other information. We'll make sure we clarify that for the next meeting, Mr. Trigger. Thank you for calling your point.
We
need to move on with public comment. I apologize to all speakers if your information is being displayed. I was informed that is otherwise, and now we're going to move on. The next speaker is Mr. I'm going to have to call him by his first name because I cannot pronounce his last name, Mr. Peter.
Unknown participant is now joining.
I can't take your call right now. Leave me a message and I'll call you right back. Thanks.
Unknown participant is now exiting.
The next speaker is Miss Caraballo. However, Miss Caraballo, let's see her qualifications to speak before the board.
Unknown participant is now joining.
Hello?
Good evening, Ms. Caraballo. State your name and
Yes,
address
ma'am.
for the record, as well as your qualification to speak before the board.
Yes, ma'am. So my name is Leslie Caraballo. I'm the Executive Director of Accomplishing Real Change, Parents Matter. The office is located in Monroe, Connecticut, which why I put 600 Main Street, Suite 2C, Monroe, Connecticut.
Now, Ms. Caraballo, the only thing is based off of our bylaws, the qualifications to speak during public comment is district employees, parents, staff, Bridgeport residents. I'm kind of just summarizing it because I've already stated before public comment. Do you
So no organization people are allowed to speak? Am I hearing that clearly?
Ms. Caraballo, is only Bridgeport-based organizations, and because yours is based out of Monroe, you can continue your advocacy.
And it says Bridgeport, Connecticut, Parents Matter. Okay, I'll be filing the FOIA. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Unknown participant is now exiting.
The next speaker is Ms. Jimenez.
Unknown participant is now joining.
Good afternoon, this is Maritza.
Good afternoon. You've already stated your name. If you could just state your address, you don't have to include street number, just for your qualifications to speak before the board, and then your time will start.
Sure. Maritza Estremera Jimenez, and I live on Lakeside Drive in Bridgeport. Good evening, board members and Madam Chair. I will be reading a paraphrased version of the email I sent the superintendent, board members, and others on September 3rd because I want it to be part of the public record. I want to ensure full implementation to resolve our issues, and I have new related demands. I'm a parent who has children at Discovery Magnet School since August of 2022 and always had positive experience with the school staff in the district. Prior to August 2024, the district offered specials such as music, art, gym, library, and computer, and more to pre-K. However, that changed mysteriously in August 2024. This change has not been communicated to parents since I found out about the change by asking my child's teacher what day gym was to ensure compliance with the school uniform. This decision is grossly irresponsible decision that violates Bridgeport's own initiative and state of Connecticut standards. Although the pre-K specials issues are currently being worked on, as I've confirmed myself, we want updates in every board meeting until all specials are restored in every school in the district. I want the board to take notice of all the changes that have been implemented with little to no vetting of the parents, and I urge that if any changes are proposed moving forward, that the parents' input is required. A simple survey or poll can help address these issues. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Unknown participant is now exiting.
The next speaker is Ms. Martinez.
Unknown participant is now joining.
Good evening, Ms. Martinez. Although it's redundant, just state your name and you can just
Unknown
state
participant is now exiting.
We'll try and give her a call again. Maybe it was this connection issue.
Unknown participant is now joining.
All right. Good afternoon, Ms. Martinez. Are you there?
You are calling the wrong. This is Shayla Robinson, actually.
Is Ms. Martinez available?
If we've called Sheila Robinson, can we not let her speak?
It's Ms.
Hi,
Martinez.
Miss Martinez is here.
Ms. Martinez, just state your name and your address. You don't have to give the street number, and then your time will start.
Jessica, Jessica, state your name and your address, and you can talk.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, go. They can hear you.
Okay, my name is Jessica Martinez, and it's 1570 Noble Avenue, Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Good, your time has started.
I am talking. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So there's a serious delay, and I apologize for that. There's a couple of things I wanted to speak about. First and foremost, I would demand that the chair, Christine Baptiste, resigns. as soon as possible, what's best for the children, parents, and the community at large. Also, I wanted to talk about the petition that I have signed and I have supported. One, I would urge Chair Christine Baptiste to conduct all regular and special Board of Education meetings in professional and respectful manner, not to interrupt, to respond to questions, to pay attention to all, and to guarantee public comment, which I appreciate tonight. Two, Chair Baptiste Perez will appoint all 9 members of the Board of Education to one of the 9 seats on the board committees immediately. If she can't perform her duties, I don't think she should be in her position. If she can't respect children, parents, teachers, and her peers, I don't believe she should be in her position. So there are several items here on the petition that I stand for, but those 2 items I want to just point out, and then the rest of them will be, I'm sure, shared with you if they have not been shared with you already. So with all due respect, unity, love, and peace. Bridgeport students, Bridgeport parents, Bridgeport teachers, and the community at large mean a great deal to me. I am a former Board of Education member. I am a Bridgeport parent and aunt. My nephew goes to Thomas Hooker School, and I'm a grandmother now. If you guys can't get it together today in 2024, then thank you so much. Have a beautiful day.
Unknown participant is now exiting.
The next speaker is Ms. Sweeney.
Unknown participant is now joining.
Hi, good evening. Is this Ms. Sweeney?
Hello?
Hi, good evening.
Hello. Good evening.
Is this Ms. Sweeney or Faith?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
You've signed up for public comment. I know this seems redundant since I've just said your name, but if you could just state your name and address, you don't have to give the street number, and then your time will start for public comment.
Okay, should I begin now?
Yes.
My name is Faith Sweeney. I am a resident of Bridgeport on Huntington Turnpike. I am here to emphasize the importance of adhering to your board policies as you work toward the essential goals of improving our schools and enhancing the educational experience for all students. As a veteran educator, member of several boards, and a chair of a commission, I can soundly say that what I have witnessed with this board is total dysfunction, and it must stop. Your policies are not just guidelines, they are blueprints for success designed to ensure that all 9 board members remain focused on the task at hand, securing adequate funding for our schools, upgrading and maintaining our facilities, and providing the necessary resources to support both teaching and learning. Last year, schools were closing. This year, it's start time changes. Your irrational decisions are pushing Bridgeport Public Schools to the brink of destruction. However, with consistent and transparent communication, the board can create an environment where parents, teachers, and students are all informed and engaged. Turning microphones off, interrupting speakers, and refusing to let board members and participants speak is disenfranchising our community instead of engaging everyone and letting their voices be heard. Adhering to your policies will allow us, all 9 board members, and the community to work together efficiently and with a purpose. By doing so, we can achieve our collective mission, creating schools where students strive, teachers are supported, and the community prospers. Thank you.
Unknown participant is now exiting.
The next speaker is Ms. Pace. Okay, right now we haven't had an answer. We're going to try again. All right. It doesn't look like we can get in contact with Ms. Pace. We're going. We're going to move on with the next person signed up for public comment, which is a Ms. Stovall.
Unknown participant is now joining.
Hi, good evening. Is this Ms. Stovall?
Yes.
Hi. You signed up for public comment with the Bridgeport Board of Education. I know this sounds redundant.
Yes, ma'am.
Just said your name.
It's fine.
But just state your name and you can get. Huh?
Yeah, Makia Stovall, 4 Hillview, Bridgeport. Good evening, members of the Bridgeport Board of Education. I'm here to address the critical issue of transparency, especially regarding concerning the board materials. The quality of public comment has been mentioned several times over the course of these months, which I believe has been compromised because citizens have limited information and are left to discuss the board's behavior and the chaos of the board meetings and the ongoings of Bridgeport Public Schools as depicted on social media. The lack of engagement reflects the frustration and confusion stemming from insufficient access to information. At the direction of the board secretary, back in May, I submitted a FOIA request concerning board materials. The delay in providing these materials, not just to me, but to the public in general, has impeded our ability to thoroughly review and offer constructive feedback on agenda items, which was discussed previously with legal counsel way back in September 2023. This is a process that's done by City Council and it's also done by the State Board. So I don't understand why it's so hard to take a copy of a PDF and upload it with the agenda on the website. It is essential for the public to have access to these documents to form informed opinions and contribute meaningfully to board discussions. Without this transparency, how can community members offer valuable insights or pose pertinent questions about the agenda? Additionally, this was mentioned last week amongst board members. They didn't have the opportunity to digest material, which is why meetings were postponed or rescheduled so that they had time. That should also be something that is available to the public. I urge the board to review its own community relations policies to ensure alignment with transparency and accountability. Considering the condition of Edison last week and the deplorable conditions that have been reported, why not use a more accessible location than Edison School? Why not Central High School or any of our other 30-plus buildings which have access to internet, Promethean boards that can be transferred, or some who are set up for meetings like this if we are going to have them virtually? Thank you for addressing these concerns and working towards more transparent and inclusive processes. Have a good evening.
Unknown participant is now exiting.
Okay, and that concludes public comment. The next item on the agenda is approval of regular meeting minutes.
Madam Chair.
Date August 26, 2024. Is there a motion
Chair.
to approve the minutes?
Madam Chair, point of information.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
There's been a motion to approve the minutes made by
Madam
Mr.
Chair,
Wilson.
point of
Is
order,
there a
please.
second?
Point of information, the board minutes, the minutes were not given to us in our packet to review. I just want.
Mr. Medina, the
They are
minutes
not
are
in our
available on
packet.
our portal. There's been a motion. Is
The
there a
minutes
second?
are dated the wrong date. They're from back in March. If anybody read them, they'd be able to see that.
If you go there, they're from March, guys. I just want to share that with you respectfully to all of you. But again, I would just like to postpone this, make a motion to postpone this for the next board meeting, for we can be able to review the board meetings.
It is correct, Madam Chair. That's what I was trying to say too.
It has been, there's, right
We were
now,
given
there's
the-
a motion to approve the minutes. If it's
But
a
then-
second, then the motion will fail, and then I can consider the other motion.
I just wanted to mirror what they were saying, that the wrong minutes have been uploaded to the portal. That's all.
Okay, no problem. Hearing that
Thank you,
there's
Madam
no
Vice
second,
Chair.
hearing that there's no second, there's a motion to postpone till the next meeting made by Mr. Medina. Is there a second?
I'll second Sakalovic.
It's been seconded by Ms. Perez. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the minutes for August 26th will be postponed to the next regular board meeting.
Madam Chair.
The next item on
Madam
the
Chair, point
agenda
of order.
is,
Madam Chair, point of order.
state your point, Mr. Traber.
I'd like to make a motion to add a new business item. Did I get a second?
That's not a point of order, Mr. Traber. A point
I
of
get a
order
second?
is when
No, it's
there's
not
a
a point of order.
violation. So we're going to move on. The next item
I
is actually
move
the
to add a
chairman's
new
report.
item
You
to the
don't have the
agenda,
floor,
Madam
Mr.
Chair.
Traber.
I
Mr.
move
Traber,
to
I
add
would
new business
respectfully
item
like for you
to the
to
agenda,
actually,
Madam Chair.
this is the conduct where it is perplexing that the public would justify you when you don't have the floor. The next item is the chairman's report. Just for an update, board members, I'm going to just leave this in the chairman's report. We were able to follow up with CAVE and CAPS in terms of the registration for the convention. Tomorrow's the last day to register for the early CAPES CAP convention for the early bird special. With regard, I don't have anything else to report for today for the chairman's report. So we're going to move on to the next item, which is committee reports and referrals. We're going to start with Facilities and Finance Committee, which is chaired by Ms. Casimir.
Madam Chair.
I have a question for the chairman's report.
There's no chairman's report. There was just an update for CAPES CAPS. So we're in Facilities and Finance. Ms. Casimir?
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. Mr. Benahan is on the committee, and I was wondering if he could be allowed to just ask a question. It looks like he has something that he wants to say, if that's okay.
If it's pertaining to your committee, that's fine with me.
It was not part of the committee. It's about your report, Madam Chair, about the convention.
I mean, that's all the information I have right now for the convention, Mr.
But I know, Madam Chair, but when you just said register, when we registered, they asked us for PO box number, something like that. I believe the main office had to put that number there. Just want to let you know. We can register, but they asked for PO box number. So I just want to let you know for the record.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, can I have clarification on that? Because last year we had the staff register for us. I never registered myself for the CAPS convention last year. It was the staff that did that. So is that still the case, Madam Chair, or?
Yeah,
I just want to
I mean,
ask.
just like for any CAPE event, you can either sign up yourself. I've signed up for several of their finance stuff and finance trainings, or for the CAPES CACS convention, if you have any issues, you can call the district office and talk to our board secretary to assist you with the registration process.
Yeah,
So
because
no-
it costs, I know that it costs money. So that's why they just did it for all of us. They did the hotel rooms, they did everything. They took care of, the staff took care of everything. We didn't have to go in and
we make a vote for that. I remember that in aquaculture, right?
yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cause any trouble at all. I'm going from my
No
recollection.
No, there's no trouble. So with regard to that, if we want to register for convention for the early bird special, the last day is tomorrow. So you can call the office and register for convention. Just like we would with any CAPE event with registration, it's covered.
Would we email Danielle about that? Is that another option? Yes. Can we email Danielle and just to let her know that, yes, we're interested in going, we need a room, blah, 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 right?
Yes.
Okay, board members, email Danielle, who is the board. She was hired strictly to help the board. That's one of my things. I'm sorry. I'm going to get to it, Madam Chair, but I just wanted to let the whole entire board know that Danielle Kachan, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, but she is just so amazing and full of knowledge. And she told me just last week, I had her print out a big old packet of the series from 2000 all the way to the end of 6000. She was able to give me a big binder and have it like in paper because I'm just a visual learner. I learn better like that. So I want to stress to the board, please reach out to Danielle. She's awesome. And she is there for us. She's there for the board. So I just wanted to say that. Okay.
I just did it. We was waiting for it.
Just reach out to Danielle because I know this was an inquiry by Ms. Perez and we thought we missed the deadline. So it's just noticed that we didn't miss the deadline.
I remember that. I remember the last meeting that we had. I thought we already missed the early bird date or whatever, but I'm glad that we didn't. So great. Thank you, Ms. Perez, for that.
Followed up to see about registration because I would like to attend. So any board member interested can reach out to Danielle or you can feel free to do so yourself and go through the reimbursement process.
Yeah, I'll email her tonight. Thank you. Okay, so the what happened then? We good? Okay. So the next facilities and finance committee meeting is going to be held on 1 week from tonight, on September 16th at 6 p.m. I am still waiting on confirmation that we will have the same room, 305, I believe it was, at City Hall, but no 100% confirmation yet. We want to double check to make sure that that room isn't being used on that day. I will send out the location as soon as possible. The portal, everything's going to be uploaded on the portal in plenty of time before that meeting. So I want to make one more statement. I don't think that this is something that parents knew and the public knew, but if you go on to the Board of Education website, the main page, and you scroll all the way down to news and announcements, then you click on the box with the individual BOE meeting date, because there are several boxes. So you click on like September 9th, for instance. Then you click on public comment request form, then public request comment form. And then I was told by the person who helps the board that this public request comment form was available from the 5th of September through 3 o'clock today. Now, this is important, Madam Chair, because I want people to understand that in an in-person meeting, public comment opens about a half an hour before the actual meeting starts. But for what I understand is that when there's an online meeting like this one, public comment closes at 3 o'clock on the same day of the meeting, at 3 o'clock. So, and the reason why she said that was because the, like everybody has to take all the information, the public comment, like papers, and they have to like get it into an Excel spreadsheet. So public comment wasn't open until 6 o'clock. it was open only until 3 o'clock for the online meeting. So that was explained to me. Whether it's right or wrong, we can debate it and we can go on about that. But I just wanted to let you know the process for online public comment meetings. And whether it's right or wrong, I'm just delivering the information. I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong. I just want to let everybody know that I have been participating in this CABE School financial webinars. Today's webinar was financial oversight. I have referrals already from Mr. Kolovic, from Mr. Sokolovic. Mr. Medina has emailed me their referrals over to the facilities and finance committee meeting. So I already have those. There's no reason to repeat what you've already given me. I found out that, oh, by the way, there's a brand new CFO that got hired, Mr. Nestor Nikwo. He will be introduced formally to everyone during that facilities and finance committee meeting on the 16th. I found out that we use Munis for our financial system software. ESSER funds, which I talked a lot about today. Just in case parents don't know, I want to back up just for a second. ESSER, E-S-S-E-R, stands for the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Fund. It was created by Congress in 2020 as part of the Coronavirus Aid Relief and Economic Security Act. Federal dollars allocated to help state education departments and school districts. So I just wanted to make sure that I said that just in case parents were wondering what ESSER stood for and what was the reason behind it. I want to just turn, Madam Chair, to Mr. Medina for a second. Mr. Medina, on June 6th, on 6/21, on June 21st, I sent you an email from staff answering your question about school procedures. School dismissal procedures and safety procedures. And the answer to that is every single school doesn't have a dismissal and safety procedure. But there were two, Mr. Medina, there were two PDF files attached to that email that I sent you in June. One was the We Transport corporate policies on bus stops, and the other was arrival and dismissal policy from Winthrop School. Hopefully you have read those documents. Hopefully they have answered any of, at least some of your questions, but it's going to take me a little while to find out if all 30 some odd schools have drop off and pick up and safety procedures regarding buses. So I'm constantly working on that. I'm not going to give you an answer tonight. It may take me a little while to get through every single one of the schools. And with that, I apologize for being so long, but I figure all this information is super important. And I'll take any referrals that was not referred to me at the last board meeting. I'll take new referrals at this time. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Traber.
Yes, I have a couple of things. One, I have a referral about the Success Village situation. They are on Friday, they went into bankruptcy. That means that on October 15th, there may be children affected by this. And so I refer it to your committee for consideration because it might have an impact on, I believe, a significant number of children who are attending our schools. So I think we need to start looking at that right away because it could impact our kids as soon as next month.
Okay, I understand what you just said, but it's definitely an umbrella statement. And when you say you want us to look into it, when you want us to talk about it, what exactly do you want done by the Facilities and Finance Committee meeting, just so I understand you?
I'm not sure where the appropriate committee is. I'm going to refer it to all committees, but I think that we need to start looking at it in our committees as to how this might impact our schools. And facilities would certainly be one of those committees because facilities are schools. So I think that that's the first place I'm starting. I'm going to refer it to the instruction and support committees because support would seem to be part of that. But this is a rather serious thing. There are 900 units in Success Village, and 77 have heat right now. So starting in about 30 days, there may be a significant impact on a lot of children. So it just seems to me that we need to look at it, and I'm referring it to your committee. The second thing I want to do is move that we add an item to our new business agenda on a resolution to conduct regular and special Board of Ed meetings in person at Aquaculture School.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Stalovic.
So you want to know if we could move the meetings back to agricultural school, and if we cannot,
No,
you want to
that's
know why? Is
I'm
that
moving, I'm
No,
moving.
point of
I'm
information,
moving
that was
to
a proper
add an
motion,
agenda
that was properly seconded.
to the
that needs to be
agenda.
Discussed by the entire board.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
I'm sorry, Ms. Casimir, but I was prevented from doing that a minute ago, so I'm now doing it now.
There's been a motion to what?
Add an agenda item to new business. A resolution to conduct regular and special Board of Ed meetings in person at Aquacultural School.
So there's been a motion to add to new business to have regular and special meetings at Aquaculture School.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's been moved by Mr. Traber and seconded by Mr. Sokolovic. Now we're in debate. In order for this to pass, it requires a 2/3 votes, because this is not an agenda item that has not been posted publicly, and in order to add it, it would require 2/3 votes.
That is correct. May I speak to the motion?
The maker of the motion has the opportunity to speak first.
Thank you. I spoke earlier. I think that having all of these online meetings is an injustice to our public. As I pointed out last fall, when you felt strongly about an issue and summoned people to come out and speak their mind to us, who you disagreed with, we sat there and entertained their thoughts, as it was our job to do. And we listened to what they had to say, and they spoke harshly about us and to us, and we listened and heard what they had to say, and this is our duty as public representatives, and I think that is all of our duties. I believe aquaculture is a good meeting place because it is a place where we can all hear each other and hear the public in an easy, light place. We've been meeting at Fairchild Wheeler recently, where we can neither see each other well or hear each other well. It is not a good place to hold public meetings. It is a difficult place for the public to get to. The buses don't get there easily. It is out of reach. So I believe aquaculture is a place we met at for many, many, many years. It is a intimate place where the public can hear and sit and get to, and so I am moving that we move to there. Ultimately, I would be willing to look at other places, but right now it is a place where the public knows we meet and how to get there. And so I'm moving we get back there because the public very much wants to come and speak their mind to us. And I think we have an obligation to listen to what they have to say. Thank you.
Next person with their hands up is Mr. Medina.
I'm sorry, I was going to be doing the committee, so this is about things. So I do support this motion because, again, this has been an ongoing situation that has never been addressed. It has never been put into any agenda, either in committees or for regular meetings. And the public has, had a huge outcry already, and they're going to continue, I'm sure. And this is the betterment for our community, for we can actually be with our community and be one with our community and see them. And I want to see our community when they come out and speak. So I'm for this. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I apologize for interrupting Mark Anastasi, but I just want to make sure that prior to discussing and debating the merits of the motion, I missed it if you took the 2/3 vote to add the item to the agenda. That is a procedural requirement. Once it's on the agenda, then all you need is a simple majority after debate on the merits. But you're getting, it seems, into the merits and the substance of the matter without taking the preliminary procedural vote. I apologize for the interruption.
No, thank you so much, Attorney Anastasi. And so we'll go into vote. I'm going to make it a roll call vote in order to add this to the agenda.
I would like this bill speak to adding it to the agenda, and I could stay within the parameters Mr. Anastasi mentioned. Hello? Hello?
Ms. Perez?
I would like to speak to the motion to add it to the agenda before we take a vote, please.
Mr. Anastasi just said to take the vote to see if it will be added.
No, he
Well,
did not.
let's have a clarification from the attorney.
No, he did not, Madam Chair. He
When you
said
get a
you speak to the issue.
To clarify.
Point of order, you're out of order, Mr. Traber. Please wait as Attorney Anastasi is going to clarify.
Thank you.
Mr. Traber or anyone else can speak to, when you make the motion to add to the agenda, you can state the reasons why either time is of the essence or other reasons why it's important to act on it tonight. So he certainly can state that as part of his motion to add explanation.
I accept the attorney's correction. I apologize and appreciate the attorney's input. I spoke prematurely about the content of the motion, and I do speak to putting it on the agenda tonight. We have been through weeks and weeks and weeks of pleading and asking for in-person meetings. We have tried multiple ways to get it. So I put the motion on the agenda tonight, and I think that it needs to be on the agenda so that the board can express its will. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to take a vote.
No, I still has to be recognized.
Other people can still speak to the motion on the putting it on the
Before
agenda.
you can discuss the merits of the motion, you need to have 2/3 of a vote to add the item to the
Mr. Anastasi,
agenda.
please clarify again. I don't think she got it.
Mr. Sokolovic, you're out of order. If you, I'll ask the attorney if necessary.
Okay.
And Mr. Anastasi, just
Anastasi,
clarify
clearly
again.
state I may speak.
Let me
Mr.
try to be a
Sokolovic,
little,
you don't have the floor.
let me try to be a little clearer. First thing is, and I missed it if it happened, if the motion's made, it should be seconded by someone. Once it's seconded, other members can briefly comment as to the need for exigent action on the matter, but not into whether the matter should be voted on favorably or unfavorably. It should be a very limited preliminary discussion about whether the board ought to address the matter tonight. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Attorney Anastasi.
Thank you. May I speak?
Next
What I had
man,
to say
no,
is much
Mr.
shorter.
Sokolovic, you don't have the floor. You have to wait till you're acknowledged. Now you're acknowledged.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, what I have to say is going to be much shorter than what we just went through. So in the interest of the people's time, who actually came out to see board members and see the board in action in person, over 30 strong in this room, in this out of the way location that we put it, there is an appetite for this items to be put on the agenda. The mayor had came out and said we should consider it. So to consider it, we have to put it on the agenda. Therefore, I say we can consider it and put it on the agenda. Thank you very much.
All right. Ms. Casimir?
Madam Chair, can we get the reason why those meetings were discontinued from the school? I think that information.
Point of order, that's not part of the motion on the floor. The motion on the floor is to add by 2/3.
Oh, that's right.
I just say clearly we got to stay in the parameters.
Right. I just wanted to say
You're not the chair. Is
okay. Sorry about that. I just wanted to say that because I think that time would be cut in half if we find out the why. But okay, gotcha. Thank you. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
I'm sure no other board member. Any comment, Ms. Perez? No. Any comment, Mr. Woodson?
No comment.
Any comments, Ms. Bain? Any comments, Mr. Medina? Oh, wait, I think you went, Mr. Medina. Apologize. Mr. Benahan.
Yes, thank you. As my colleagues say, it's much better to do the meeting there because it's more easy for a parent, especially the parking lot, and it's more safety. I prefer to do it at Aguacoto, the meetings. That's it. Thank you.
I'll just add, aquaculture is just as inconvenient as it is for Fairchild for certain residents, and that if it's going to be at a location, it should be central to the actual residents. There's only one bus that runs by aquaculture. And as a member of this board, I've witnessed several student representatives waiting by themselves just outside of aquaculture for a bus to leave. And so I would prefer that we don't move forward with this proposed address and choose a central location with more buses, more street lights.
Objection, Madam Chair, you're speaking to the issue. We're discussing the exigence,
a different
not
location.
the issue, Madam Chair.
Mr. Traber, you don't have the floor. So now we'll move on to the vote.
Attorney Anastasi, please.
Mr. Traber, you don't have the floor. You're out of order.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Perez, we'll take the vote, and I make it a roll call vote.
Madam Chair, apologies again, and I very well may have missed it, but was the motion seconded?
Yes, it
Yes.
was made by Mr. Traber and seconded by Mr. Sokolovic. We had a
Right.
brief
Thank you.
discussion, and so I'm just making it a roll call vote to ensure we have 2/3.
Am I my turn?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
taking the vote.
All right. Can I just have a point of information? If we take the vote and it passes, can it be amended after? Okay. Okay, thank you. Christine Baptiste Perez,
No.
Albert Benahan,
Want to pass?
Akeisha Casimir,
No, not that location.
Willie Medina,
Yes.
Point of
with an
information,
explanation
point
once
of order.
again.
The issue isn't the location, but you just asked, Madam Chair. The issue is just whether to have the vote.
Mr. Traber, you don't have the floor right now. Ms. Perez is taking roll call and she's not on you. So just Ms. Perez, whoever you were on.
Yes, that was I. So once again, I vote for yes. And again, the motion is, can you repeat the motion, please, Miss Jennifer Perez?
the motion is to have meetings, regular and special meetings at Aquaculture School.
I believe that's not the motion, but can you clarify? Because I think it's just to add it to the new business. That's the motion, to add it into the new business. And your question, Madam Secretary, was, can it be amended? And you answered that, and we all answered that. Yes, it can be amended. So the item is to add to new business for us to have public meetings. And the point was, they mentioned a school. So again, the motion is to add it to a new item for new business, correct? I just want to make sure I understand that way Ms. Casimir can understand, and it can be amended, correct?
Yes.
No, what
So
I
you-
didn't
you're-
understand was that the motion was
Go
made to have them at agriculture. That's what I was voting on. And I don't think that that's the right one. There was nothing that's saying, can we change the meeting in person to another place that's centrally located? You said aquaculture. So I do understand that was said.
No, Jennifer asked a
Ma'am,
question.
you know,
Jennifer-
first of all, there's people speaking who have not been delegated to have the floor. The vote is to add this as a new agenda item in new business.
There you go.
And it's to have regular, it's to limit the authority of the board to have regular and special meetings online and to strictly limit it to aquaculture school, per the language that's been suggested, is to have regular and special meetings at aquaculture. And that implies certain things. And so in order to actually add that as an agenda item, we need 2/3 votes. And so Ms. Perez is taking roll in order to determine whether we're going to actually add that as an agenda item. So I'm sorry, Ms. Perez, but
Exactly.
like I've lost
And as
if you
as
could
you
just,
respect,
Mr. Medina, you don't have the floor.
oh, I
Ms.
did have the floor,
Perez,
Madam
Mr.
Chair. With
Medina,
all due
you don't have the
respect,
floor. You're out of order.
well, I'm
Ms.
sorry,
Perez, if
but
you
I
can
did
just,
have the floor. What are you
if
talking
you,
about?
Mr. Medina,
I'm the one that she's been
Ms.
talking to.
Medina,
I'm the
you
one that
do
she's
not
been
have
talking
the
to.
floor.
Okay, I'll wait until she calls me
Yeah.
again then.
So,
No
Ms.
problem.
Perez, if we can just start the roll call over again, so now people are aware that it's voting to add this as a new agenda item under new business. And then we can just start the roll call vote again.
Which can be amended to make it to another location.
It's like it's just to add it to the minutes so we
Christine,
can talk about
Baptiste.
it.
First of all, again, out of order. Right now, Ms. Perez has the floor to take roll call.
Christine Baptiste Perez.
No.
Albert Benahan.
Yes.
Akeisha Casimir.
You're on
Pass.
mute.
Willie Medina.
Yes.
Jennifer Perez, yes. Joseph Sakalovic.
Yes, with an explanation, because even if anybody's not happy with the location.
Attorney
it can be
Anastasi, can you clarify if
can
it's
add
only
per
votes in the
bylaw a short
negative
explanation
that can
about
have the ability to speak?
I
And
can add a short explanation per our bylaws. Please look at our bylaws before you answer, Mr. Anastasi.
Attorney Anastasi, can you just clarify? It's my understanding that only votes in the negatives can explain why they're voting in the negative.
I
And if
posted
it's a
that
roll
last week
call
when you made
vote,
that
they can
story
just
up last
explain
time.
yes and move forward.
I'm going to reference the bylaws, which will take a minute, I think. If bylaw 9172F says, any board member shall have the opportunity to explain his or her vote for recording in the minutes.
Okay, no problem. So go ahead, Mr.
Thank you,
Sakala.
sir. And my explanation is, even if people aren't happy with the location, they can amend it once it's on the agenda.
Robert Traper.
And I vote yes too. I made my recommendation in the motion, but it too, I'm willing to discuss when we get to that item on the agenda, whether I've chosen the right location. I offered my reason, but it can be amended. I'm more concerned about having in-person meetings.
Here we go.
Andre Woodson.
No.
Passes. So it's on new business.
Okay. Did you take Ms.
Miss-
Bain?
No, Miss Casimir. You passed, didn't you?
Yes, I passed.
Sorry, go ahead.
Can you repeat the motion, Madam Secretary?
It's to add new business item to the agenda.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the entire motion?
It's to add a new business item to the agenda for to have meetings in person at aquaculture.
No.
Is Ms. Bain here? She
Yes.
wasn't here.
She's in the meeting.
Ms. Bain?
I wish she's showing on the screen.
I'm here.
Your
I'm
vote?
here. No.
Okay. Does not pass.
Okay. We're going to now move on. The next item on the agenda is, we're in Facilities and Finance Committee. Ms. Casimir, if you can just announce the date of your committee, and then we'll just move forward if there's any referrals for committee.
Yeah, so the meeting again is Monday, a week from tonight, Monday, September 16th at 6 p.m. The location, once it's confirmed, will be sent out. And I was taking referrals, and Mr. Traber had given a referral, but it definitely needs to be emailed over to me. All referrals to this committee need to be emailed over to me. Starting to get busy on the committee, so. Any other referrals for facilities and finance that was not mentioned at the last meeting, that's important to say.
All right. Oh, wait, Mr. Medina has his hands up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To Ms. Chair of the committee, you mentioned me in your statement, so I would like to note again on the last board meeting that I did mention to you that I did reply to you and said thank you, but also I noted on the last meeting that I wanted it for all the schools. So you gave reference to that, but I did reply to you when you replied to me about the John Winthrop. So I just want to clarify to make sure that you knew that I did reply to you.
Yeah, that wasn't
and that
the
I read all
question.
that,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah,
did
I did
read
get
all
it.
that information. I
Okay.
did read all that information. So I look forward to you replying back. Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
Excuse me,
We're
ma'am?
going to now move on to Instruction and Support Services Committee. That's chaired by Madam Secretary, Ms. Perez.
This committee will be meeting on this Wednesday, the 11th, 5 p.m. at City Hall, room 305. I have referrals from the last meeting. We haven't met since the last meeting, so I still have your referrals. And any referrals you make today will make it to the October agenda, not this meeting agenda.
Okay. Mr. Traber has his hands up, and referrals for the Instruction and Support Services Committee, Mr. Traber.
Yes, I make the same referral I just mentioned, the problem at Success Village, the impending problem there about the students that would be affected if there is a problem with the heat and people are forced to move, and it could be a significant impact on the student population of students who are currently attending schools around Success Village. So I would ask that that be put on the agenda for your committee.
Thank you, Mr. Traber. Mr. Medina?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to add to new business to be able to consider a location for public meeting to be done in public.
Mr. Medina, the point you're bringing up is moot. That was a very similar motion that just went through and failed. We're going to move on. If there's any referrals for Instruction and Support Services.
I second that motion.
No, there's an invalid motion.
How is it invalid, Madam Chair? The public made it clear.
We're going to move forward. If there are any referrals.
Mr. Anastasi, is that invalid if it's a different motion?
The chair has rendered a ruling. If you're not satisfied with it, someone can appeal the ruling.
I appeal that ruling.
And it will take a majority voting.
Do I have a second from somebody? Albert?
Okay, there's no second.
I got a second. I argue my appeal.
Go ahead, Mr. Traber.
In my earlier motion, even though we made it clear that I was more than willing under the business item to consider a different location than the one I suggested, people use that as an excuse to vote against in-person meetings. The public has made it clear they want in-person meetings. And so Mr. Medina has made a motion to add to new business a resolution to conduct board business at in-person meetings without a location. And the chair is moving.
Yes, Mr. Anastasi.
I just grabbed my Robert's Rules of Order, and recognizing that Mr. Traber is not the mover of this particular motion, I would note that Robert's Rule says that an appeal rating to the priority of business is not debatable. A majority in the negative is required to reverse the chair's ruling. So it's a non-debatable item. I think both of you have nevertheless explained the issue clearly. So now it's probably time to take a vote. You will need a majority in the negative to overrule the chair's position on the matter.
Can you explain what that means, Mr. Anastasi?
I think it means that you vote. The motion is to overturn the ruling of the chair. Curiously enough, it does say majority in the negative. So I don't see a sample motion on it, but if you hang on a minute, maybe I can find one. Let's see, okay. Give me 1 minute. 24. Okay. Appeal. This debatable. That's replacement. Okay. Okay. The motion was made, and the Robert's Rule says, I appeal from the decision of the chair. That's what's been done. The chair then states the question. Shall the decision of the chair stand as the judgment of the assembly or not? So a yes vote would be yes, the chair's ruling is sustained. A no vote would mean to overturn the chair's ruling. So that's the explanation.
And Mr. Anastasia, I get to speak twice as to why I've made my decision and I have the last say, correct?
Well, it's not really a debatable item.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay. I'll do a roll call vote.
And remembering that yes favors the ruling of the chair, no overturns the ruling of the chair.
So if just to be clear, I'm sorry, Attorney Anastasi, if you vote no, you're voting to have another vote on in-person meetings without a location. Adding this item to the agenda, essentially, as
correct.
In-person meetings without a location.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, roll call vote, Ms. Perez?
Can you repeat that last part? I got I froze a little bit. That's that last.
If we vote no, we're voting.
Mr. Anastasi, can you please repeat that last part? Thank you.
A yes vote sustains or upholds the ruling of the chair to deny this piece of business because, as she stated, it's moot, having already been defeated once. It's a no vote overturns the ruling of the chair and allows for the item to be brought to a vote to go on the agenda. So the short answer is yes favors the chair, no favors the maker of the motion.
Is it time for roll call? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Tahiba Bain. Christine Baptiste Perez.
Yes.
Albert Benahan.
Pass.
Keisha Casimir.
Yes.
Willie Medina.
No.
Joseph Colby.
No.
Robert Traber.
No.
Andre Woodson.
Yes.
Tahiba Bain. Keisha, who passed? Albert Benham.
No.
And no for me, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3. 5 no's, 3 yes.
Okay.
Did that mean the motion passes?
No.
Is that correct? I want a clarification.
It's a majority, as the
No,
attorney said.
that's for the
Attorney
appeal of the
Anastasi.
decision of the chair, Mr. Sokolovic. You
The
don't have
lawyer
to.
wants to speak.
To be clear, what that means is the chair's determination that the motion is moot has been overturned. but now somebody still has to present the motion to add it to the agenda, so you're gonna have to vote on that separately. But you can make the motion.
Okay, so like what I said, that means that we can put it in a motion. So right now, the motion is for us to add to new business, to have public meetings within the public at a location.
Mr. Sokolovic?
And it was second by, I believe.
No,
Traver.
Mr. Medina, you're making I thought you just made the motion, so Mr. Sokolovic has his hands
Okay.
up.
I'm sorry.
Right, point of
Absolutely,
order.
no
If he
problem.
wishes to speak to the motion, as the maker of the motion, he gets to speak first.
There hasn't been a second. He's remade the motion, so I'm looking for a second.
Second.
And again, this preliminary discussion is strictly limited not to the merits, but to the reason why it ought to be acted on expeditiously tonight.
And again, as a maker of the motion, I'll just add once again, this is what the community has asked for. Not only the community has asked for, but the mayor of the city of Bridgeport has asked for. The public has sent multiple emails and communication asking for public meetings held in public, as they have a right to have a public meeting and join us in public. Thank you.
Mr. Sokolovic?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I'll reiterate that there is a taste for adding this to the agenda, and it's imperative that we add it to the agenda sooner rather than later. We have to, because we are facing a $40 million budget deficit. We need to rally our community, and the sooner we get it on the agenda and have people in front of us, the sooner we can rally that community to save our schools. Thank
you. Mr. Traver?
I urge us to put this on the agenda. It was clear that the location impeded our ability to make this decision. Other people thought it was a good idea, but didn't like the location. Location has been removed, so I hope people will vote to have in-person meetings now. Thank you.
Can I get a clarification? What's the motion again?
The motion is to add,
it's either the maker of the motion or Ms. Perez as board secretary repeats it.
Can Willie repeat it? So
is to add to new business a line item to discuss and to vote for a public meeting to be held in public in a safe location, and a location that is easy for the public to come and join.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Medina. Okay, let's see. I'm sure anyone. All right. All right, I don't see any other hands up. I'll do a roll call vote.
Tahiba Bain. Christine Baptiste Perez.
Pass.
Albert Benahan.
Pass.
Akeisha Casimir.
A public meeting to be held in public. I understand. My vote is yes.
Willie Medina.
Yes.
Joseph Sokolovic.
Yes.
Robert Traber.
I need to clarify, Madam Secretary. Willie, you're talking about the board.
He said in public.
I need to understand. Are we talking about the Board of Ed meetings?
He said.
Ms. Casimir tried to
Yes.
put words in his
Yes.
mouth a
Yeah.
moment ago.
Mr.
Are we talking
Traver,
about the
the
Board of
answer
Ed
is yes.
meetings, Mr. Medina?
He said meeting to be held in public.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Yes, the Board of Ed
I vote yes.
meetings.
Andre Woodson.
No.
Tahiba Bain. Christine Baptiste Perez,
Yes.
Albert Benahan,
Yes.
Jennifer Perez, yes. I don't have a vote for Ms. Bain, but we have 7 yeses.
Yes.
All right. Instruction and Support Services Committee. Is there any more referrals to committee? Hearing none, we're going to move on to policy, personnel, and contracts. I spoke with committee members. Due to a conflict, we've all mutually agreed to move our meetings to the 3rd Mondays of the month. And so our meeting will be held next Monday. And now I will take referrals for committee, for policy, personnel committees. Go ahead, Mr. Traber. I believe I know what you're going to say because you said you'll say it at all 3 committees.
Okay, so that's number 1, Success Village, Students and Impact. Number 2, we need to get a full report on staff turnover. It's my understanding at a couple of different meetings I've been to recently on boards that I sit on, that the state law requires us to get staff turnover reports on an annual basis, and we haven't been getting those, and so that falls under personnel. And so I wanted to raise that on why staff are leaving, on resignations. We heard a parent speak tonight about the pre-K problems, so I wanted to refer that to your committee as to why we're having these pre-K problems. And I wanted to refer a policy referral on having in-person Board of Ed meetings.
And very similar to the other committees, if you could just make sure you email me those. I've already received emails from other board members for committee from the last meeting, so I'll just take any new referrals. Mr. Medina.
My hand is no longer raised with those statements that you just made. Thank you.
All right. The next item is the CAVE report, which I've included in my chairman's report about the convention. I believe our board secretary has already reached out. So after the meeting, please let her know if you're going to attend. The next item is the superintendent's report.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Buenas noches.
I'm pulling it up now.
Okay, so over the course of the summer, we participated in several events, one being the mayor's backpack giveaway, which I thought was a resounding success. I was able to really interact closely with a lot of our parents, and actually I was able to recruit an additional student for the Bridgeport's Brightest Scholarship who had not heard about the scholarship and was able to get that parent to share that information with the graduate and have them enroll for the program, which was wonderful and brought our number to 26 students participating in the Bridgeport's graduate scholarship program at the University of Bridgeport. I was also able to participate in a tour of Harding High School. Harding High School is currently over-enrolled at 1,329 students. The school was originally intended to accommodate a little bit over 1,000 students. So we have a serious overcrowding problem at Harding that we need to address as quickly as possible. Over the course of the spring and summer, we added 3 additional classrooms to Harding. We converted open space
open meeting space in several pods. And unfortunately, there was a complaint filed with the fire marshal regarding those spaces. So they're not currently available to serve students. Our students are not currently able to use those spaces, and we do not have a date as to when those spaces will be re-inspected in order for them to be used for instruction, which is creating considerable stress for the teachers and staff at Harding. We are working closely with the principal, Mr. Thompson. We have added additional administrative staff to the campus to support with the additional students. We've also added additional counselors to the school in order to accommodate the fact that we have so many more additional students at the campus. And I am also currently working with several different members of our legislative delegation in order to continue to identify ways to address the issue of sporting facilities that are not adequate to meet the needs of the facility. Currently, our football stadium is not large enough for regional play, and neither is our basketball court. When you open the bleachers in the basketball courts at Harding, it actually encroaches upon the court itself, which renders the referees spending the majority of the game keeping people off of the court. So one of the pieces that we're working on is addressing the very serious needs so that our students are able to participate in competitive play. Another issue that we've had recently is the need to add additional security during games. We've had a tremendous number of students from charter schools who are attending our scrimmages, and we've had some incidents with fights and other challenges as a result of the additional students that are attending sporting events. My preference would be to be able to have facilities that accommodate students in the community, whether they are Bridgeport Public School students or not, so that we have a viable place for our students to be able to be safe, to participate in sports, participate in school spirit, and make sure that we have the adequate supervision to ensure that these incidents that tend to occur with young people, especially at the beginning of the school year, that we can forestall these incidents through additional social emotional learning, through additional restorative discipline practices, and also through additional opportunities for us to deal with post-traumatic stress that tends to accumulate with our students over the summer months when they have not been in school. So those are the pieces that we're working along with Mr. Thompson to ensure that we are implementing at Harding and also at our other high schools here in the district. I was able to participate in the Facility Management Appreciation Picnic. We held it at Beardsley Park this year. It was a phenomenal event, and it was really gratifying to be able to personally thank all of the members of facilities and maintenance who spent a very hot summer cleaning schools that at times topped 110 and 115 degrees. And became rather unsafe spaces for them to work. And so one of the priorities as we move forward is to develop resources that we can deploy with our teams when they're working in those non-air conditioned spaces to make them ready for our students and ensure that they are safe. We were fortunate in that we did not have to hospitalize any of our employees, but we oftentimes, Mr. Garcia made the judgment call to call significant breaks so that we could have cool down periods for our employees who were working in what were unsafe conditions due to the excessive heat of the summer. If you could scroll the page up, please, I'd appreciate that. Thank you. One of the priorities as we work to ensure the safety of our students was to provide our school nurses with new emergency response bags. They had not received emergency response bags in over 10 years. So we made the significant investment to ensure that every single nurse in every single campus could have the critical supplies needed in the event of a lockdown or an evaluation. These bags are currently in use at every campus. I was able to review the contents of the bags along with our Director of Nursing, Lizette Early, and I just really want to thank her for bringing this critical issue to my attention so that we could invest the resources and the funds necessary to ensure that our nurses are ready should there be an emergency situation that requires us to render critical aid to staff or to students in our schools. I spent a wonderful day visiting with the brand new and incredible president of Housatonic Community College, Dr. Patricia Benson, along with Representative Steve Staffstrom. We took a tour of the industrial manufacturing program that is currently housed at Housatonic and that will be mirrored in one of the large bays at New Bassett High School. There are currently over 100,000 positions that are not filled in industrial manufacturing. We recently have been informed that employees have been retiring past the age of 80 because of the lack of new employees, new apprentices, graduates who are able to enter into the workforce in these very critical areas. A lot of our industries, such as Sikorsky and all of our other factories that are here making very critical pieces for several different industries across the country, including electrical vehicles. And so we want to make sure that we do a really great job of sharing with our students the incredible opportunities that are available at Housatonic, where they can even enjoy the opportunity to study and receive certification in industrial manufacturing at very low cost, if not free of cost, including the apprenticeships necessary for them to be ready for the workforce. And these are positions that pay significantly well and where there's a huge gap in the number of employees that are ready to enter into these critical areas. So we're very excited to partner with Housatonic, excited to have this program at New Bassett once it opens. And we will be working with our middle schools to ensure that they're able to visit Housatonic Community College and learn more about industrial manufacturing, what it means, the mathematics that are necessary. Students should at least be proficient in Algebra 2 in order to be successful in the program at Housatonic. And we want to ensure that we are able in Bridgeport to be a significant source of filling that workforce need, in addition to all the other magnificent programs that we are building in the district. So we're really excited about that. I want to thank Representative Steve Staffstrom for personally taking me on a tour of this program and for providing us with the critical data that we need in order to move this program forward in the district. Next page, please. Over the course of the past spring and also this past week, we were able to launch the very phenomenal program to keep our students safe when students come to a complete stop, launching the Safer Buses program. And this is going to ensure that we're able to re-educate our community and how important it is for vehicles to come to a complete stop when buses are signaling that students are loading or unloading. And this is actually being treated as a civic violation, not a criminal violation. And it's something that we are hoping will get people to slow down and keep our students safe. During the beginning of the school year, I know that several board members emailed me regarding students who had been run over, one in particular at Roosevelt. That was not something that occurred due to busing. That actually occurred due to the fact that we have had a shortage of crossing guards. I have worked closely with Chief Porter and also with Captain Grech to ensure that that particular intersection is covered. That particular intersection at Roosevelt has seen a total of 6 students run over over the course of the last 5 years because it has a significant blind spot, and that is something that the city is working to address so that when cars turn onto that street, they're able to see students crossing, and we're also able to have crossing guards to help students to cross the street safely. The student in that particular instance who was hit is recovering in the hospital in stable condition, and we look forward to welcoming them back to school. But I also think it is really critical for us to really and truly discuss the fact that over the course of the study that occurred last year with the stop signs and the cameras on the buses, we had over 10,000 violations of cars that simply drove around buses as they were loading and unloading students. And those were all captured on camera. The camera system is meant to capture only the license plates of the vehicles in question, not the drivers themselves. And this information is only going to be used specifically in order to assign the $250 fines for violators who do not stop when students are loading and unloading from our buses. It is really critical that this becomes part of our practice in Bridgeport to stop anytime that we see a bus at a standstill, assess whether or not the stop sign is on, and whether students are loading or unloading from the bus prior to continuing to move along with the flow of traffic. So I look forward to engaging with the community in more conversations regarding the need for greater bus safety. And finally, I was able to meet with Senator Jim Hines, and Congressman Jim Hines, and to discuss several really important pieces about the needs that we have in the district. We spoke at length about the need for a sports complex in our district. We currently do not have any public pools in the city of Bridgeport, although we have the most beautiful stretch of beach in Seaside Park. We do not have a way to ensure that students are proficient swimmers. And so it's really critical that we're able to not only have sports spaces that allow for competitive play for football and basketball, but also for swimming pools that will ensure that our students can be proficient swimmers when they leave fourth grade.
Can we stop with the freaking swimming pool?
Ask that board members who have their mics on put themselves on mute.
And as I was saying before, we also want to ensure that we have adequate sports facilities so that our students can engage in sports across the district, starting in middle school and moving through high school. We have a long and successful history of sending athletes not only to NCAA competitive play at the university level, but also to professional leagues. And we want to continue that tradition with our very talented students and provide those opportunities here in Bridgeport. Many of our students who are very talented athletes are choosing to go to other districts where those facilities are available. And we want to make sure that we can provide those facilities here. The other piece of the conversation is environmental in nature. And the congressman is very open to supporting us in the grant writing necessary to ensure that we have electric buses available to our students here in the district that will not only protect our environment, but also be able to reduce the cost of transportation, which is an excessive cost for transportation. We have currently over 160 buses devoted just to special education, and we have over 12,000 students who ride our buses on a daily basis. So there is a strong need to have our own bus fleet and to begin to build that bus fleet in our district. And I was very excited to have his pledge to ensure that we're able to provide those resources for our students. The other piece that I'd like to do before I conclude my superintendent's report is to share a brief statement. Dear Bridgeport team, I am writing today with deep reflection and humility. Over the past few months, I recognize that my actions and decisions may have caused frustration, concern, and uncertainty amongst many of you. For that, I sincerely apologize. I acknowledge that there have been moments where I could have listened more closely, collaborated more openly, and communicated more clearly. Our district is only as strong as the unity of its people, and I deeply regret any harm my actions may have caused to the trust and teamwork that are essential to our success. It is time for a reset. In the coming weeks, I will be meeting with our union leaders to begin addressing the concerns that have been raised. I understand that it will take time to rebuild trust, and I am deeply committed to doing the work necessary to ensure that all voices are heard and that our district continues to be a place where everyone feels valued and supported. I want to personally assure you that I am dedicated to fostering a culture of respect, transparency, and collaboration moving forward. I am eager to work with each of you as we navigate the challenges and opportunities ahead. Thank you for your patience, your dedication, and your unwavering commitment to our students, our families, and to each other. I thank you for your attention. Carmela Levy-David. That concludes my superintendent's report, unless there are any questions from the board.
Hands up from Mr. Traber. Mr. Traber, your mic is on mute.
Madam Superintendent, thank you. Do you have any reports for us on the current number of openings and the staff?
I'm actually gonna, yes, I do.
Are we gonna get that kind of thing? It's the beginning of the year, and I sort of thought I'd asked a week or two ago that we get at tonight's meeting some idea of what the current number of classrooms without with subs in them, that kind of thing.
We are still gathering that data. As you know, the very beginning of the year is a time when we're still receiving students, and we are going to be presenting that data first at committee and then bringing it to the general board meeting, sir.
So we'll see that at instruction and support services on Wednesday?
You will see some of it in instruction and support services, and some of it will be going to personnel and contracts, and some of it will be going to facilities. It just all depends on the nature of the information, sir.
Well, I'm talking, okay, specifically, I'm talking about the number of classes that are being staffed with subs right now. That's what I'm talking about first.
That information will be going to, I believe some of it will be going to instruction and some of it will be going to personnel and contracts.
Okay. And then the next question I had was, you may have heard earlier this evening, a parent spoke to us about the problems with the pre-K programs. And
those, yes.
And go ahead. I wanted to ask if you had any insights to offer us on that.
Yes. And I actually, my team communicated with the parent regarding that issue. The issue is a staffing issue. So we currently have postings in order to be able to provide additional rotations for our pre-K students at Discovery. So that is an issue that is germane right now to Discovery intermediate
from
school.
Other schools, Madam Chair.
I'm sorry?
Superintendent. I'm hearing it from other schools too. It's not unique to Discovery.
Okay, well, the issue that you were discussing for Discovery, those positions are currently posted in order to allow for additional rotations.
Okay, so I'm hearing though other schools, they're not having gym, they're not having recess, they're not. So I'm just curious, are you looking at other schools too? Then
I am not aware of
in her
schools
letter to us, she raised other schools. She raised it not just as a Discovery problem, she raised it as a problem in the district. And so I've since heard from other parents too. So I was waiting to see your response to her letter, not just regarding Discovery.
The team is still gathering data regarding the current state for each of the schools. The beginning of the year has been a very busy beginning of the year. And so I want to bring to you the most accurate data. We are still processing new employees as we speak. And so I will be bringing that information as it is most accurate, and most complete.
Okay. And then I do want to appreciate that you corrected the data on Harding High School in your post with Principal Thompson a week or so ago, 2 weeks ago. You stated that Harding was built for 800 students, when in fact Harding was built for 1,150 students. And I heard in your comments tonight, Harding was built for over 1,100 students. Harding was originally designed for 850, and then it was increased in mid-construction to 1,150 students. And I'm glad you corrected that for the record. And you're saying it's now up to 1,329?
1,369.
69, thank you. Are the temporary classrooms still up? Somebody had told me they were down.
The temporary classrooms are up. They are locked. No student is able to access them until the fire marshal clears them and they're re-inspected.
Okay. And then the RN, you mentioned the RN bags. How many schools do not have a full-time RN?
Currently, I believe we have up to 5 vacancies, but I'll have to confirm that again with Ms. Early because the last time that we had that conversation was about a week and a half ago, so that may have changed.
You said 5 vacancies, but do all schools get a full-time RN?
No, not all schools get a full-time RN.
Okay, so that was my question. How many schools do not get a full-time RN?
It all depends on the needs and on the enrollment of the particular campus.
Right, so how many schools is that?
I don't have that number in front of me, but I can provide that for you later.
That would be great. And then,
but I do need to note that even if a school doesn't have a full-time RN, if there is a student with a critical need, for example, a student who has epilepsy or diabetes, type 1 diabetes, those are students that receive a checkup from a nurse every single day.
The nurse runs over there to take care of it.
Correct. We have itinerant nurses that visit those students.
Okay. And then you mentioned the BASIC program. Just to be clear, that BASIC industrial manufacturing program, light industrial manufacturing program, has been in existence for many years.
This is a very different program, sir. This is the modern industrial manufacturing program. This is a completely different type of equipment. It's very modern, very computerized, and it requires advanced math because industrial manufacturing has changed. It is not just making nuts and bolts anymore.
No, ma'am, I understand that. I met with representative staffs from 10 years ago about it. So we have been working on that for many years. The program that works with Housatonic, that gets students credits at Housatonic as well as at BASIC, has been in existence for 5 or 10 years now.
And that program is transitioning and changing and modernizing.
I accept that,
Yes.
but I'm saying that program has been in existence at BASIC and Housatonic for years now. I just talked to him a week or two ago about it. So it's not a new program. It's an evolving program, I accept, but it's a program that we've had in this school system for years. I just wanted to be clear.
You are absolutely right.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent.
We'll have Ms. Casimir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Dr. Levy David, the only question that I have 2 questions. The second one is really quick, but the first question, the only question I have about the Harding and what happened with the satellite / makeshift classrooms is why wasn't the fire department and the city's permit department or whoever is the department that gives you the okay to build these extra classrooms, like why weren't they reached out to, or did we reach out to them and didn't get an answer and then decided to build them anyway? Like, can you explain like why all that stuff wasn't taken care of before so that, we wouldn't have this waste of time with these classrooms?
I'm going to defer to our Chief of Facilities and Maintenance because I don't want to speak for him, and I see that he's on the call.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. So these aren't traditional classrooms. These classrooms don't have ceilings. These are partition walls. So this is open space. So we were under an assumption based on past practice, because these were raised spaces already, that we can put the mountable walls up. We haven't had problems in the past. So there might have been some nuances to the way that those were built. I think the swing of the door may have been what was in question. So that's what we're doing now, is getting engineered plans with complete fire review and code reviews. So we're going to take the long road to make sure that this is done the right way. But in the past, we've been able to do this without any issue. So things have changed. There's new fire marshals. So we'll go through the process.
That's perfect. Thank you. And my last question, Dr. Livy David, this was before you came here. I had asked if we can put kindergarten expectations up on the early childhood education website. I mean, it's great. It has tips for preschoolers. It talks about potty training, all this stuff. I've read through the whole page. But what I don't see, and correct me if I'm wrong, are kindergarten expectations for the kids who are graduating from preschool and going on to kindergarten.
There are quite a few things that you're not going to see on our website, because our current website as it stands is not functional. We are in the process of completing and getting prepared to launch our new website in October. We've been working with Final Site all year. This has been a 10-month project in order to build a website for the district. So before that website is ready to launch, the board will have an opportunity to see all of the new features, see the new build of the website, and it will make it very easy for us to add and remove items from the website with multiple drop-down menus and interactive modern features that all of our users will be able to use to access information in a multitude of ways. As it stands, the current website is very difficult to maneuver. It takes multiple hours of programming language to add anything or remove anything from the website, because it is not a website written using modern code. And I guess that's the simple way to explain that. So there's some pieces that we definitely are relying on our schools to share with our parents and families, because we cannot add them to the current website. It's just a shell. Once the website is finalized, we will be able to add all of this information in without any trouble at all, with just a few simple clicks.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Mr. Sokolovic?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Dr. Levy David. I'm sorry, I'm getting tired, a little loopy now. Yeah, my question is about bus patrol. You mentioned, I believe you mentioned about 10,000 infractions at $250 a piece, which equates to about $2.5 million. And in the past iteration of this bus patrol, when it came before the board, we were negotiating for a piece of the pie for Bridgeport Public School students, because we paid the entirety of the We Transport contract. Those buses are under our care and control. So the city, as I understand it, is not giving any portion of those funds to Bridgeport Public Schools, even though we control the buses and the bus company is under contract with us, not with the city. So can you explain it a little better why we're not receiving a share? Because every dollar counts. Even 10 to 15% of 200. What did I say? $2.5 million is a pretty piece of change that could stave off some of our cuts coming.
Thank you for the question. I have asked precisely the same question and I have not been able to receive an answer. I am scheduling a follow-up meeting in order to find out what portion of the city share will be provided to the district from those funds. My understanding is that is a 60-40 split between bus patrol and the city, 60% going to bus patrol and 40% to the city. The pilot itself, there were no infractions assigned during the pilot, but moving forward, the program launched actually last week, Tuesday. So as of Tuesday, they should have begun assigning tickets for infractions. But as of right now, it has not been shared with me what portion of the city share our BOE will receive. So I am very just as interested as you are to find out what that number is.
Might I suggest that maybe reach out to legal, because they are in fact our buses under our care and control that the city is making use of to generate revenue. And we could always, what would happen if we went with another transport company and all those cameras are just there for nothing? So we do have some negotiating power there. Thank you.
And let me not speak out of turn. I see that our CFO, Nestor Quo, is on the call. Mr. Quo, do you know if there has been a change or any update to the city share portion that will come to the BOE?
Sorry. Good evening, everyone. No, we called the city before the contract went before the city council and basically conveyed superintendent's request for what the Bridgeport school system will get out of the 40% that the city will be getting. And they basically said, we're trying to get it through the council. We will talk about it with the Board of Education. That was the last conversation. We already made inquiries. I already called the city side twice. We're going to have to follow up, to be very honest with you. Yes, we do have to follow up, but they did agree that such conversation was had at a very early stage. Now it's come time to deliver. So we have to go back and make sure that whatever promise we were given or the Board of Education was given is being honored.
Yeah, that contract was negotiated, I believe, 2 or 3 superintendents ago.
Yep.
So right now I'm following up in order to ensure that whatever promise was made, that it's going to be kept.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
Are you done, Mr.
That's all I
Sepulveda?
have. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm done.
Take your hand down so I can keep track. Mr. Medina?
Yes, thank you. Am I being heard? I'm not sure because I just changed my location. You guys hear me? Okay, I think I see some shaking of head. I just can't hear you guys. I don't know why. On the note of the staffing, Miss Superintendent, what is being done? Because I've been getting a lot of questions. What is being done, or what is the procedure when we're sending SPED kids to schools? And I'm understanding that there's no regular SPED teachers. So what's being done? I just want to make sure that I understand. I thought even for SPED teachers, we would use Kelly Services, but I don't know that to be true.
We are in the process of consolidating programs to ensure that there is a certified teacher in front of every single student with a PPT, so that we do not have students sitting with a sub, because that's not legal, or sitting with a paraprofessional, because that is also not legal.
And we have move across running.
Mr. Medina?
So that means it's illegal to have students inside the classroom without a regular SPED teacher. That's what you're saying.
We currently have our supervisors who are running the classrooms at Wilbur Cross until we either consolidate those programs or are able to staff them. So the department is currently working through that process, but the students are not with an uncertified, special education uncertified person.
Okay, so you just mentioned Wilbur Cross is one of the schools then. Okay. All right, thank you.
Mr. Traver?
Did you call on me? Yes.
Your hand is up regarding the superintendent's report.
Yes. I had a question about the resignations report I asked earlier on the Policy and Personnel Committee, Madam Superintendent. I understand that there's supposed to be a regular report on why teachers are leaving the district. You're supposed to get that. I've asked before about, we used to get a regular report at every Board of Ed meeting on staff movement, who's leaving the district, who we're hiring in the district, what their salaries are, who's transferring to a new job, who's retiring, all that stuff, and we don't get that anymore. And so I'm asking again that we get that report at every Board of Ed meeting, because it's extraordinarily useful to the board to see what's going on with the staff, all positions, not just teachers. So I would ask again that we get that report on a regular basis at every board meeting. I also wanted to ask about the you mentioned the incident with the child who was hit by a car. My understanding is that was a school crossing guard incident, not a school bus incident, and that child was, the school crossing guard was properly doing their job, and there was an irresponsible driver, which the school crossing guard did their job, as I understand it. So I appreciate.
We're speaking about two different incidents. The incident that I'm referring to was at Roosevelt, and there isn't a crossing guard, and I secured a crossing guard for them already.
My understanding is there was a crossing guard on duty, and that driver ignored the crossing guard.
And that may well have been the case. There is a
and that we needed more
blind
crossing
spot.
guards.
There
We
is a
needed more crossing
significant,
guards. Yes. Okay, I just wanted to be clear, that wasn't the bus incident. That was a need for more crossing guards. And I understand that you did secure more crossing guards, and that's a good thing. But separated from the school bus issues. And I had one other question in here. Hold on, let me just check my notes. Nope, I haven't got it now. I'll get back.
All right, seeing no other hands up, we're going to move on to the next item on the agenda, which is unfinished business. The first item is discussion and possible approval of specific language to be included in the approved healthy food certification for school year 24-25. I'm going to give just a brief disclaimer. We've already voted and approved this. There's language that was not stated in the record, but Mr. Steele is here to just clarify any more and then give more guidance.
Good evening, everyone. The language that was not presented in the last meeting was just food and beverage exemptions, just stating that we are going to serve healthy beverages and food for the high school snack bars. Thank you. Does anyone have a copy of that, or would you need me to send you another copy?
It's in our board packet, Mr. Steele. So just for clarification, if we approve it, I needed just a volunteer to read it into the record. So I'll order of the hands, Mr. Sokolovic.
Point of information?
Yes, Ms. Perez.
Danielle just sent us an email. So which one are we reading?
You're reading the
what was
Danielle
sent
just
is the exact language. It's on page 7. It's also in our portal as well. It's just in case there was any confusion, because there's other language that we approved already that was mentioned. It's the language that we had not, that was accidentally left out. So that's what Danielle sent over, just so we don't vote for the same language that we've already approved, if that makes any sense.
No.
And then sorry, Mr. Sokolovic, when I moved screens to just look over, and then when Ms. Perez pointed out the email, I checked my email, but I had already marked that page, but your hand was up.
No, I dropped it because I didn't want to read. I just wanted to clarify. I remember, I think Mr. Steele, the language in number 2 and 3 combined that we were looking for?
yes, the combined language for food and beverage, page 7.
Right, so if somebody could read that off, I think that would be Sufficient, correct?
I believe so. Just approve it and read it aloud into the records what we're approving.
Who's got a hard copy in front of them?
I have it.
1 second. Let me, Mr. Traber has his hands up. And
I was just asking for somebody to show me where we are on this packet. I'm looking around and I didn't see it. So I'm happy to read if I could see it, but Jen, if you could tell me.
Page 7.
Yeah, I don't have page 7, so I got the printed out packet, so.
Oh, attachment 1 of the food
Yeah.
required motion language for HFC statement. And it's I believe it's the required language for option to combine food and beverage exemptions.
Option combining, and then what are we putting in the insert name?
Bridgeport Board of Education.
Bridgeport Board of Education.
Okay. So I make a motion
Yes.
that the Bridgeport Board of Ed will allow the sale to students of food items that do not meet the Connecticut nutrition standards and beverages not listed in section 10-221Q of the Connecticut General Statutes, provided that the following conditions are met. 1, the sale is in connection with an event occurring after the end of the regular school day or on the weekend. 2, the sale is at the location of the event. And 3, the food and beverage items are not sold from a vending machine or school store. An event is an occurrence that involves more than just a regularly scheduled practice, meeting, or extracurricular activity. For example, soccer games, school plays, and interscholastic debates are events, but soccer practices, play rehearsals, and debate team meetings are not. The regular school day is the period from midnight before to 30 minutes after the end of the official school day. The location means where the event is being held and must be the same place as the food and beverage sales.
Second the motion.
Okay, so there's been a motion by Mr. Traber. It's been seconded by Ms. Perez. I don't see any hands up for debate. Seeing there's no hands up to debate the motion, we'll go into a vote. All in favor of approving the motion as read aloud from Mr. Traber? All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hear none, motion carries. We're going to move on to the next item in the agenda, which is discussion and possible approval of the Expelled Student Services Agreement.
Good evening, everyone. This item, I believe, was either tabled or continued from last board meeting. I believe Dr. Avery presented this item for approval and consideration. This is the Expelled Student Services Agreement that handles the expelled students at the university school. I believe some board members asked for some clarification and some data that was provided, I think, in your package. I have PJ Carafa on the line to answer any questions in terms of the data that was submitted.
I move to approve this item.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear anything.
I move to approve the item.
There's been a motion to
I'll second.
approve. It's been seconded by Ms. Perez. Okay, we are now in debate. Seeing no hands up in the urgency of the situation, we'll move on to a vote.
No, Mr. Traber, the maker of the motion. Gets
Oh, wait.
to speak, doesn't he?
Okay, I didn't see your hands, your
Well, I
hand up
didn't
at
think
the
I had
time I was
raised my
speaking.
hand
I
as the
had to
maker of the
just
motion,
double check with Mr. Benahan on my screen to ensure I'm looking at all board members. So the maker of the motion does have the opportunity to speak first. As your hand is up, you may speak, Mr. Traber.
Yes. I wanted to make this motion, one, because I do have some information that makes me want to support this, but two, as one of the people that attended the special meeting that we had the week before last, I wanted to speak to the absolute repulsion I feel for the people that didn't show up to a meeting that was called by the chair of this board. Ms. Casimir, Ms. Bain, Ms.
Mr.
Woodson.
Traver, if we
I'm
could just
speaking.
keep it on the
I am
motion at
speaking.
hand, and this is about debate, whether it's pro or for. I understand your frustration. The motion was postponed, 6-3. I called the date in person pursuant to what was moved, and I understand that. However, we're in debate about it, not to admonish each other. So please just advocate for it without admonishing another board member so we can move on with this
It
topic.
is nice that y'all are sanctimonious when you call a meeting and the public and the staff and the board members show up and y'all don't bother to show. In fact, you tell each other not to show up because you don't want to deal with it. What a waste of resources and waste of time. And I've been listening to speeches from y'all all year about how
Mr.
holy
Traver.
you are. So I am making this motion. And I made this motion so I had to take a moment to wrap myself up a little bit in this sanctimony here, because it's outrageous that you would call such a meeting and not show up. Look at that face. Yep, indeed. So I do approve this motion because we have finally gotten the information that we waited a year to get that shows that only about 20 students avail themselves of this service. And at first, I was waiting to say, oh my God, we paid $150,000 to $200,000 more than we needed to. But in the interest of making sure that we had this decision right, I asked for more information from the staff and was able to get that information from the staff, which shows I've been asking for SES data. And by the way, Ms. Perez, it was discussed in the committee meeting. I was at the committee meeting. We discussed it last year, a year ago, and it was discussed as a possible option. It is not a practical option. I did make inquiry. It was not a practical option. There is no service available there to put 1 or 2 students when we need to. So it's not a practical option, and it's just not there. So I checked that out. I understand Mr. Pires and Mr. Carafa checked it out. It's not a practical option. Mr. Avery checked it out. So with that's out the window. Who's making the silly sounds?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize my mic wasn't off. Excuse me.
Thank you. So that's not out there. So I'm doing due diligence and fair diligence. So I wish we had had a fair discussion last year. That contract was signed before it even was presented to the committee because the ball was dropped between the owner's bad health and the interim director being transitioned to the new interim superintendent being passed off to the new superintendent. So it was signed prematurely. This year, we should have done the due diligence and checked what options there were, but we're being presented with this contract. We don't know what other options are out there. And so it's being presented to us. The number of whether or not we should have 20 or 30 slots, seats, desks, whatever you want to call it. Looking at the data we got presented finally last meeting, like the week before, would suggest that we're not. But when we looked at at my request, the number of students who are awaiting expulsion, that number does fluctuate between 5 and 10 students a week. And therefore, they do need desks as they await that expulsion. So instead of being 15 to 20 students expelled per week over the last year, the number is more like 25 to 30 students who are in need of a desk space during the course of the year. So the number of paying for 30 desks over the last year wasn't so far off as it appeared when we got the expelled desk space. So I am in support of this contract now because it is not as unreasonable as it appeared when we were given the data about the expelled desks that we had to wait a year to get. So that's why I moved the motion tonight.
Right. I don't see any other hands up. No win debate. So we're going to now move on and take the vote. All in favor of entering into the contract, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. The next item on the agenda is discussion and possible.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Powers. Discussion and possible approval of the updated evaluation teacher and administration evaluation plan.
Hi, good evening. My name is Michael Brosnan. I'm here representing the Professional Development and Evaluation Committee. I'm the co-chair representing the BEA. I'm joined by my colleague, Sarhana Smith, representing BCAS, the Principals and Administrators Association. I know we went over these slides with you last meeting when it was tabled, so I don't want to necessarily go through them again with you unless there are any questions, but the state of Connecticut released new evaluation guidelines for teachers and administrators in a little less than a year ago in the fall of 2023. And a balanced committee, as called for by state statute, met bi-weekly, every other week, to develop Bridgeport's plan in alignment with all of the state's non-negotiable items for how this new evaluation plan should look. So there were 4 members of the BEA and 4 members of BCAS with a partner from central office. And we met from December through the end of May and composed this plan. Again, it's really a state plan, but we have adapted it for Bridgeport, and we have hit all of the non-negotiables and the best practices as outlined by the state of Connecticut.
Mr. Traber?
Michael, who are the members of the BEA?
Thank you, Mr. Traber. They were the president of the BEA, Jeff Morrissey, vice president, Jennifer Kellerman, Micaiah Stovall, and myself.
And why are we using just a single standard for evaluation versus
I'm
two?
sorry, Mr. Traber, can you repeat that?
I'm sorry, why are we using just a single standard for evaluation?
The single point competency?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it was certainly an adjustment. It was released as a best practice by the State Department of Education.
To use one.
I'm sorry?
To use one.
To use the single point competency, yeah, it's actually in line with the previous rubric of the Common Core of Teaching that we've been using for several years. But what's outlined really is kind of a modified version of the proficient line all the way through. And the state's reasoning behind it, they've been working on these standards for several years as we awaited their release. But the purpose behind it was that a single point competency is a rubric, but it sort of drives more conversation between the evaluator and the evaluatee. We're really looking at that standard of competency and then discussing where folks land in that particular realm. Again, it was recommended as a best practice by the state, and we were advised at the training in November that everything that's a best practice released in 2023 will eventually become a requirement. So we figured we would act on it right away and sort of make the shift with some of the other changes to the single point competency rubrics.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Sepulveda?
Yes, I'm looking at page 11 with the cohorts and what's being done. Looking at cohort 1, it says 3 visits of professional practice by building-based administrator of approximately 20 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes pre-post meetings, and 2 coaching visits of professional practice by in-school peer support of 20 minutes to 30 minutes. My question is this doable? We've got how many staff in some buildings? It seems like it might be overwhelming for the administrators performing the evaluations. Is this something that they actually can be put in practice in reality?
Well, Mr. Sokolovic, I thank you for the question, and I sure hope so. We recognize that we do have a limited number of administrators assigned to a larger number of teachers. We tried to make the number of coaching visits as doable as possible, and that's what was great about this committee working together. It was the BEA and BCAS together, trying to decide what we thought was doable. We really do hope so. The state of Connecticut has assured us that although we submit this plan for their approval, we'll be able to make edits and recommendations moving forward. The PDAC committee does recommend best practices in alignment with the state guidelines on professional learning and evaluation. So I wish I could give you a firm yes, sir, but I think we're going to have to see how it goes. It's not a wild departure from what we've had in the previous years, but I'm certainly optimistic that we can do it.
Thank you. I actually appreciate the no non-solid answer and the actual flexibility that could be put in, because I'm concerned, because as everybody's aware, administrators could get pulled off in so many different directions, and sometimes things might fall by the wayside. And I don't think it would be the end of the world if it's 2 instead of 3 or whatever have you, just so long as we're not setting ourselves up to fail. Thank you.
Absolutely, and thank you. I appreciate the question because and your support of the flexibility. Part of what our committee is going to be doing is kind of measuring the efficacy and the plausibility of this plan moving forward. And I think that's going to be happening statewide, but of course we're going to be paying attention to our own house. So thank you, Mr. Sokolovic.
I just wanted to add, I also think that is a great question. I appreciate the question. It is not veering too far away from how we have always done it. It's a lot of work. I will not say that it's not. I won't pretend that it's not a lot of work. But Michael is right. We will see at the end of the year if we need to make adjustments to this plan.
Ms. Perez?
I move to approve the updated evaluation, teacher and administration.
I second.
Administrator evaluation plan, sorry.
Okay,
I second.
There's been a motion by Ms. Perez, seconded by Mr. Traber. Let's see.
I have no comments.
I don't see any hands up for debate, except for Mr. Traber's.
No, my hand was up because I saw Sahana wanted to speak, and I wanted to make sure that she got heard, but that was it.
All right, seeing that there's no hands up for debate, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
I'm going to do this again. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. The next item on the agenda is new business. Whoever has their mic open, if you can please close it. I'm hearing feedback. And so the motion is pursuant to Mr. Medina in terms of having a public meeting to be held in a public safe location for the public to location for the public.
I want to make a correction that it was to have the Board of Ed public meeting as stated by.
You have a feedback problem, Mr. Medina.
Okay, so it's the Board of Ed meeting to be held. Okay, gotcha. So all in it's an action item. It's up. Is there a motion for that?
So moved to have the Board of Ed meeting held in a.
Okay, so it's been moved by Mr. Woodson. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded, but I didn't hear who seconded. Sorry.
I'm sorry, Mr. Traber made a motion to hold the Board
No,
of Ed.
I heard someone else make the motion, Mr. Traber, and it's been seconded.
I was speaking it, Madam Chair. I never heard Mr.
It's already been,
say a
Mr.
word.
Traber, it's
Mr.
been
Woodson
moved
didn't
and
say
seconded.
a word. Mr. Woodson needs to articulate the motion.
Mr. Traber, you're out of
Mr.
order.
Woodson
It's already
needs
been
to say
moved
words,
what Mr.
Madam
Medina
Chair.
wanted, and it's been seconded. We're now in debate.
Mr. Woodson needs to speak the words, Madam Chair.
It's been moved and seconded.
What
So
has been
we're now in
moved, Madam
debate.
Chair?
Any hands up for debate?
Can the
This is
secretary
to have
read the
our
motion,
meeting in
please?
public.
Could the
Mr.
secretary
Sokolovich?
read the motion?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to amend it because in public could be online. I make a motion to amend to read in person, in public.
Okay. There's been an amendment to the main motion to have it in person, in public.
Second.
It's been seconded by Ms. Perez. We're in debate. Is there any debate regarding this item? Mr. Sokolovich, I think your hand's still up. Seeing no debate, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the language has been changed.
My hand is
pursuant to
still up,
Mr.
Madam
Sokolovich.
Chair.
You didn't put your hand
just
up
put it
until
up.
after she.
You just
Yeah,
put it
you
up
just
after
put
the
it up.
vote. We're back.
We're
We're back into the main motion pursuant to Mr. Medina that's been amended by Mr. Sokolovich. You just put your hand up.
Okay.
Now you have a question for debate.
I had my hand up the whole time, and I'm asking now again the secretary to read the motion, please.
The
No.
motion, well, the amended
What?
motion?
Yes.
All right, the motion as amended was to add, sorry. The motion was to hold meetings of the Board of Education in person in public.
Thank you.
All right. Seeing no other hands up, if for debate, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion carries. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Move.
Motion to
Moved
adjourn.
by Ms. Casimir, second by Ms. Baptiste Perez. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none. Meeting has adjourned. Time now is 9:23 p.m.
God bless
Thank
you all.
you.